This is part 4 of our water gun series. In this video, we're going to learn to make this reservoir piece right here. In order to figure out where to start, I'm actually going to insert this piece back in, my cylinder back into this reservoir until I hear it click. And once I hear it click, I now know how far back this starting edge is going to be by grabbing my dowel caliper and letting it line up until it hits that edge. And what does it say? Almost exactly 0.35. And so what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to start a work plane off of this edge right here and go back 0.35. So I'll type in negative 0.35. And it should be, if I did it right, in front of this ridge here. And so now, if we look, I can start drawing this circle behind this plane that I just created. So how wide is this reservoir at its widest part? It looks like it's about 0.57 wide. And so I'm going to start a sketch on this plane, and I can go ahead and turn off my cylinder, my stopper, and my trigger for now, and I'm going to draw a circle that is 0.57. Now, if you look at this, it doesn't exactly look like it's extruded back. It kind of looks conical, like it's going sort of slanted down. And so it's a loft where it gets thinner in the back before that final extrusion there. And so how wide is it at its thinnest point? It's about 0.54. And so actually, before I do that, I should probably figure out how far back it goes. And so I need to make a work plane that is 0.425 behind that. And so I'm going to make a new work plane, select this circle and drag it back negative 0.425. And then I'll start a sketch on here and draw another circle and tell that to be 0.54 in diameter. And I'll go ahead and loft this back. And I'm going to make sure I select new component and hit OK. Now this new component will be called the reservoir. All right, now on the back end, I can go ahead and actually pull this out and make this full screen. On the back end, this is just a circle extruded, and so we can get the diameter of that. It looks like it's 0.46, and we can figure out the height of it as well by lining it up. And what is that? 0.145. Start a sketch on this back wall here, and we'll draw a circle that is, and what did I already forgot what it was? I think it was 0.46, but let's double check that. You watching at home probably know. Yeah, it's 0.46. And then how far does it extrude? About 0.16, and so maybe 0.15. And so I'll finish my sketch and extrude this 0.15. And it's looking good so far. The next thing I need to do is extrude out these two circles here. And so to do that, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to start a sketch on this mid-plane going from the top. And I'm just going to hit P on my keyboard for project and select this back edge and hit OK. And I'm going to draw a circle that ends at that point. Now I can still change its location and its size, but it's now always stuck tangent to this edge. And so the first thing I want to do is tell it to be horizontal with the origin. And then we got to give it a width. Well, how wide are these circles here? If we look, it looks like it's about 0.235 wide. So if we grab our dimension tool, it's 0.235 wide. And we'll finish our sketch, and we will extrude this actually both directions symmetrically. And I want to make it a joint. And how tall does it go? Well, looks like it's about 0.107. And so if we type in 0.107, I'm sorry, 1.07. That looks way too tall, and if we look, that's because I'm doing a half length. I should do a whole length with that measurement, and that makes it perfect. Hit OK. All right, now, if you notice, this entire reservoir is hollow and empty on the inside, so we need to give it a shell. And it looks like, if we look at it, it's 0.04 inches wide of a shell. And so we'll grab our shell tool, and I'm going to select all three edges where the hole is and tell it to be 0.04. And this is looking pretty good. I don't like that that happened there. Why did that happen? Well, I would think, let me move this over a little bit. I would think it happened because of how far this extrusion is right here. So we can actually edit this a little bit. I remember thinking this was 0.16, but I rounded down to 0.15. Let's double check that dimension. And yeah, it's probably closer to 0.16. So we go back and we'll just tell it to be 0.16 instead. Okay. Let's see if that looks better. And that definitely looks better. Okay. And so what else is going on here? Well, the next detail we got to look at is this inner ridge here that sort of clips onto this ridge on the cylinder. And so if I actually turn my cylinder back on to visible, I still can't see that ridge. And so I'm going to do something else. I'm going to go to Inspect and go down to what's called Sectional Analysis. And I want to select this right side work plane right here to look at it from the inside and hit OK. And so if we imagine where this clip's going to go, well, this piece inserts in right here. Now, if you look at this, it makes sense that as you go further in, the reservoir gets thicker than the cylinder. This is so it compresses in, it sort of squeezes it in place. But the clip would have to be to the left of this ridge right here. So the second ridge would have to be here. That should make perfect sense to you. So I'm going to start a sketch on this sectional plane that we're looking at here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to project this arc so that I can reference it and hit OK. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to project. Let me turn off my cylinder so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to hit P for project, and I'm going to project this whole face here so that I have these 2 points to work with. And I'm going to grab my line tool and I'm going to connect those 2 points. And then I'll turn the cylinder back on. Okay. So I'm going to grab my 3-point arc tool and I'm going to lock it onto this new line that I just drew and drag it up. Now, how wide is it going to be? Well, I'm actually going to make it the same size as this one. And so if I grab my dimension tool, I don't remember what size I made these. It looks like I made it exactly 0.02. So let's go ahead and tell this to also be 0.02. And let's also tell this point to be vertical with this point. So I grab my vertical constraint and line these two up. And then finally, how big is this arc? Well, if it's 0.02 wide, that means the radius should be 0.01. So I'll just lock the radius onto the edge. If you can't do that, I'm gonna hit undo. You can just alternatively just give the arc a radius of 0.01. And that'll do the same thing more or less. It's not exactly right because Pythagoras is being a jerk right now, but you get the idea. With that in mind, all I need to do now is finish my sketch, and I'm going to go ahead and turn this cylinder off again. I'm going to hit revolve, and I'm going to revolve this profile around this center axis right here. Hit OK. And we can turn the cylinder back on. You can see how it would work. As we slide this in, it compresses it through and forces it to clip around, making it where it doesn't pop out. And then on top of that, the cylinder is a little bit thinner than the reservoir on the inside, and so it's sort of stuck and compressed in so no water seeps out of the sides. I'm going to go ahead and revert my position. Let's turn the cylinder off, and let's turn our sectional analysis view off as well. And this is sort of a rubbery material. Now, I don't know if it's the same rubbery material as the stopper, but I think it is. And so I'm just going to go ahead and be lazy since it's the same color. A for appearance, and I'm going to go ahead and just make it the same rubbery red material. But then if I look at all of this together, I think this is a good place to stop this video. I'm going to go ahead and hit save and hit OK.